Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1140B, and today's date is November 30th, 2016, and the title of the episode is The FBI Just Expanded Its Hacking Powers, Unprecedented Authority to Hack into Any Device. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded an interview with Andrew Hoffman on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So if you go over to YouTube and you type in X22 Report Spotlight, it will bring you to that interview. Or you can come over to the X22report.com site. All you got to do is scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side, you'll see the interview there. Or you can go to newssentinel.com. Same thing, scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side, and you can play the interview there. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the corporate media was making a big deal about Trump and his businesses, that he had to put his businesses in a blind trust, and they were really pushing the idea that he wasn't going to do this. Well, Trump came out and he announced that, yes, he'll be leaving his business in total to fully focus on running the country. Trump also tweeted that while he is not mandated to hand off the business, he feels it is visually important as president, so there is no conflict of interest with his businesses. And we can see right now that many of the presidents, they take their investments, they put them into blind trusts, and we can see at this point he is following the same exact thing where he's separating himself so people don't have to question this. And remember, he's not taking an income as president either. Now again, he is not in the White House yet. He has not done anything yet. He saved jobs for Ford. He stopped them from moving the jobs out of the country. He stopped Carrier from moving jobs out of the country. And at this point, so far, so good. But he's done other things which people are scratching their heads saying, this doesn't sound good. Where he's bringing in Wilbur Ross as Commerce Secretary. He's a billionaire investor who worked as a senior managing director of Rothschild Inc., which we know are the central bankers. We also know for the Treasury position, he's hired a Goldman Sachs banker, and we know they are part of the central banking system. And Wilbur Ross actually helped Trump keep his casinos and other properties after the real estate market in New York City bottomed out. Ross worked for Rothschild at the time, and people are looking at this saying, this is very interesting. Trump is bringing on neocons. He's bringing on central bankers, and we're going to have to see where this goes. So there are certain things that he's doing where people say, yes, this is in the right direction, and there are other things that he's doing where you're scratching your head saying, this is interesting. We need to watch this. We see Jill Stein is still pushing for a hand recount, and in Wisconsin right now, Dane County Circuit Judge Valerie Bailey Wynn said, absolutely not. It is denied. And the Wisconsin judge refused to order local officials to conduct the state's presidential recount by hand. And we can see right now that Jill Stein is still pushing this. The agenda is to hopefully remove the Electoral College votes from Trump while they're recounting. So this way, when December 19th comes up, they can say, there's no winner at this point. Maybe it should go to the person that has the popular vote. And we can see that Jill Stein is raising a lot of money. We really don't know where this money is going to go. But we can see that she's paying part of it to have the recount done. I think it was almost $3 million. But we need to watch this very carefully because we can see there are other plans that they have if this one doesn't pan out. Because as we know, as we approach the inauguration of Trump, they have protests planned. And most likely they're hoping that this will turn into riots. Because as we know, George Soros and other deep pockets are behind this. And we understand that it's not just in Washington. They most likely have other individuals in other cities standing by to see if they can get this started. This is how Soros works. He's done this in many other countries with NGOs where they had regime change. They get people together. They start off in a small group. Hopefully more people join in. They have agent provocateurs within the group to rile everyone up. These are professional protesters. These people have done this before. And he's going to try to push the agenda. Now, they're doing this at each phase. And we'll have to see where this goes as we approach December 19th. We see the FBI right now. Well, they have just gained hacking powers at an unprecedented level where they can hack in to any device legally. Now, there was a last-ditch effort in the Senate to block or delay rule changes that would expand the U.S. government's hacking powers, but it failed today. And we can see that Senator Ron Wyden, he attempted 3 times to delay the changes, which will take effect Thursday and allow U.S. judges to issue search warrants that give the FBI authority to remotely access computers in any jurisdiction, even overseas. His efforts were blocked by Senator John Cornyn of Texas, and the changes will allow judges to issue warrants in cases when a suspect uses anonymizing technology to conceal the location of his or her computer, or for an investigation into a network of hacked or infected computers such as botnet. Senator Wyden said, well, these changes to Rule 41 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedures amounted to one of the biggest mistakes in surveillance policy in years. He says that the FBI will have the ability to hack into phones, computers, any device. And this is a complete violation of the Fourth Amendment, unless there is an actual search warrant. But we know that the FBI, well, they hack, they spy without using any type of search warrant. And just because someone doesn't want their information out there by hiding it for privacy purposes doesn't mean they're doing something behind the scenes. This is why the Founding Fathers put together the Fourth Amendment. So you would have to prove to a judge why you need to go look at the person's private information. And it had to do with a crime. Well, it doesn't seem this is the way it's working anymore. And again, what we're seeing is that the rule of law is completely gone in the United States. Well, for the low man on the totem pole, we still have to follow the rules, the laws. Those who are the elite, the central bank, the globalists, shadow government, they have a different set of rules. Something good came out today where lawmakers, well, they officially dropped plans to make women register for the draft. Now, it was included in the NDAA, but it looks like they decided to drop this provision. And now we can see right now that they're not going to make this mandatory for women. Now, the United Nations Security Council, they voted to impose new sanctions on North Korea over their most recent nuclear test in September. And they said what they're going to be doing right now is they're going to stop the biggest exports like coal by at least 60%. They're also going to ban the country's copper, nickel, silver, and zinc exports. And they're putting a lot of pressure on North Korea. And this is what the United States government central bankers do. And I know it's the UNSC, but again, they control the UN. And what they do is they put a lot of pressure on these countries to try to have them fold and to say, yes, we give, we're sorry, we'll do whatever you want. They've done this to Syria. They've done it to Iran. They've done it to Russia, and they're doing this to North Korea right now because they want North Korea. They want a regime change. They want the strategic location. And we can see they're putting a lot of pressure on North Korea. They also want North Korea to do something. They're continually provoking North Korea, and they're waiting for North Korea to do something because North Korea is the wild card here. And they're hoping that by putting a lot of pressure on them, that they will turn around and do something. We see out in Ukraine, well, it looks like they're going to have the missile test over Crimea. Russia is saying, listen, if any of these missiles hit any of the areas, there's going to be a problem here. And what we're seeing right now is that Ukraine is trying to stir something up with Russia. And they're doing it quickly before Trump comes into power. And we see right now Washington, well, they're offering a grant of up to $800,000 to NGOs inside of Ukraine. And it looks like they're doing this to monitor regional authorities and secure ties with local media. Because Poroshenko, well, his popularity is declining. And they're going to use these NGOs to boost his popularity, keep an eye on what's going on. And we can see right now they use these NGOs, non-governmental organizations, for many different things. For regime change, George Soros funds a lot of them to keep an eye on what's going on inside the country. And we can see that right now they're very worried about what is happening inside of Ukraine because the people inside of Ukraine, well, they had enough. And this is why Ukraine right now is pushing so hard against Russia because they want something to happen. They want a war. These central bankers, these neocons, globalists, they want this war to break out. Because if you take a look around, things are not going their way. In Yemen, we have the Houthi leader, Abdul Malik al-Houthi. Well, they just created the National Salvation Government, and they're saying we are going to be the government of Yemen, and our aim is to serve the people. And the UN is out there, and they're criticizing this new government in Yemen. Now, the United States, through Saudi Arabia, through a proxy army, tried to remove the Houthis by force, bombing them, attacking them, and it didn't work. We see out in Libya, the United States government, central bankers, with the coalition forces and the UN tried to give Libya a government. And the Libyan people said, we don't want this government. We didn't vote for this government. This is not democracy. You're just giving something that you created. And when we look at all of this, the United States government central bankers lost Yemen. They're losing Libya. They're losing Lebanon. The people are rising up in Iraq, and the United States is bringing in more and more troops into this area. Syria is a complete disaster, and they're never getting into Iran, which means once these individuals take back their countries, they will decide what they're going to sell their oil with. Will it be the dollar? Will it be the euro? Will it be the yuan, the ruble? Will it be gold? And if they don't use the dollar, they decide to do this, and all these countries follow suit, which most likely this will happen, the petrodollar dies. If the petrodollar dies, the entire U.S. system collapses. And these central bankers, the shadow government, they were hoping to keep this system going long enough to start a war, to cover up this entire collapse. But now it's happening without the war starting. Doesn't mean there won't be a war. But we can see right now they're scrambling. The UN is holding emergency meetings on Aleppo. The corporate media is out there trying to convince everyone that Aleppo is descending into hell. No, what's happening is they're being liberated from terrorists who tortured people, who held back food for the people. People are running to other government areas where the government controls the area. And we can see right now, they don't know what to do at this point. And Russia was invited into Syria by the president of Syria because Syria is a sovereign country. The United States, France, UK, Turkey all invaded Syria. They're an invading force inside this country, and they're building bases in another country. Can you imagine if Canada or Mexico came into the United States and said, this is our area, we're going to be building a military base? Well, it wouldn't go well. Right off the bat, it would be an invasion. We see that the United States government central bankers, they're bringing in more reinforcements from Idlib to Aleppo to try to stall this. But it looks like this is not going to work because we can see that the Syrian government, the Russian forces, they are surrounding the last of the terrorists. And it's only a matter of time before Aleppo is completely controlled by the government. I know the corporate media likes to use the term Aleppo has fallen, but it really hasn't fallen because the government is taking control of their own territory. The terrorists have lost. But we can see that the corporate media here in the United States, they are trying to create an atmosphere of internal war. And what I mean by that, out of Fox News, they keep running these stories that U.S. Islamist groups, Muslims, they are arming in anticipation for Trump because they're very worried about Trump and what he's going to do to Muslims. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, most likely he's going to do nothing to Muslims. And it looks like the corporate media is trying to build this up, trying to create this illusion that they're scared, they have weapons, and if they feel threatened, they're going to use them because of Trump. And think about what the corporate media and the U.S. government, the shadow government, I should say, the central bankers, look what they're doing right now. They're trying to stop Trump from becoming president. Still, they're creating an atmosphere of protests, riots. They're out there telling the people of the United States that they're worried about what Trump is going to do. Is he going to bring forces in and destroy the Muslim community? But all of this is being made up by the corporate media once again. They're using fake information. They're stirring things up to create this atmosphere of hate, to create this atmosphere of protest and rioting, to create this atmosphere of dread, because this is their agenda. Their agenda is to stop everything that's happening right now because they didn't get what they wanted. Because the establishment, the shadow government, they're nervous, worried. They're losing control around the world. And we can see they are preparing and prepping to try to take back control. And there's a war going on right now. Maybe not out in the open where you see bullets and bombs going off, but there's a war between the establishment, the central bank, the shadow government, and the truth movement. Those people who want a change, a real change, away from this controlling force that's bringing us down a path that is really not good for the country. People right now are confused by the illusion. They don't understand. They believe whatever the establishment was telling them because they've been brainwashed over the years to believe all of this. I mean, just think about the economy for a second. Go back to 2008. Think about how the establishment, how they brainwashed a nation into thinking that everything was okay. They told everyone that the subprime securities were fine. They're AAA. Nothing to worry about here. They told us that everything was contained with Bear Stearns and everything else. They told us that housing prices, they're not going to go down. It'd be unprecedented. They told us that they weren't forecasting any type of recession in the year we had a recession, when the stock market crashed. It's all part of the brainwashing. They take news stories and they twist them. They leave parts of the story out, leave parts of the truth out, or just plain out lie to keep this illusion alive. And many people can't get out of this illusion. They're stuck in it. They don't want to believe anything else but what the government, what the corporate media has told them. Yes, people are waking up. People are starting to realize that something is wrong. But the majority of the people, they are under their influence. They're captured by this illusion. And they can't break out of it right now. And I read a quote from The Matrix about people being in the system. And those people that are in the system, they don't see anything else. And this is what we're seeing today. And the corporate media, the shadow government, the establishment, they're going to use these people to push their agenda. This is why they're keeping the illusion alive. This is why they're saying the alternative media is fake news. This is why they say, oh, it's fact-checking. But we have to remember, where are the facts coming from? I mean, I saw Trump saying there was election fraud, where the election was rigged, where there were individuals that voted, and most likely they were illegals. Well, the White House came out and they said, well, we just fact-checked it, and the White House says there was no manipulation whatsoever. We don't see any of this. Well, where are they getting their information from? I mean, if we go back in time, they also fact-checked during the 2008 year of how everything was perfect and fine, that everything was contained. I mean, really think about it. When people talk about fact-checking, if I was back in 2008 and I said, okay, listen, I'm concerned because I hear that these subprime securities, they're garbage. They're not AAA. I have information that these are just flat out lies. Well, the rating agencies, the SEC, they would all go back and they'd come out and they say, nope, these are AAA, these are good to go. We checked them, everything's fine. Then it would show up in Snopes and it would show up in the corporate media saying it was all fact-checked, the government certified it, the agencies certified it, and that was the fact check. But all of it was a lie. Looking inside the subprime securities, people were defaulting. They were complete garbage. They weren't AAA. So when they keep talking about fact-checking, where are they checking the facts? Where are they getting them? Who's giving them out? And how are they researching it? Because most of the time, it's a lie, especially if it's coming from the government or the corporate media. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.